I've always wondered how granny squares are attached diagonally and using the spiral joint. So I took it upon myself to learn, and while at it, I filmed a tutorial on how to make this beautiful skirt. I originally wanted to make a dress, but I decided to first go with a skirt and then I can make the dress later. If you're interested in recreating the top, there's a tutorial for the top on this channel. I'm going to leave a link in the description box. Make sure to check out the tutorial and enjoy it too. Welcome back to the channel if you're a returning subscriber. If you're new here, kindly subscribe and join the family, and let's get into the tutorial. I recently got these shades of male cotton yarn, and working with them has been pure bliss. Like, I've loved working with them. The name of the yarns is Flores, and it's a male cotton yarn. I don't know if it's 100% cotton, I'm not sure, but I believe so. The yarn is medium weight, but it's not exactly like the medium weight acrylic yarn that I use. It's a bit thinner. It recommends a 3mm crochet hook, and you're going to need a pair of scissors, a darning needle, stitch markers, and a measuring tape. Use any medium weight yarn available to you and the recommended hook for it. We start with a magic ring, and this is how I make my magic ring. So as you can see, twist the yarn, then get a loop through that circle, and that's our magic ring or the magic circle. Then we're going to chain 3, and the chain 3 is our first double crochet. Then I'm going to make that ring smaller, yarn over, insert my hook into the ring, yarn over and pull up a loop to get 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the remaining 2 to complete a double crochet. That's our second double crochet. Then we're going to place a third double crochet into the ring. So yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's the third. We're going to work a 4th double crochet into the same ring, and then a 5th, and I'm going to work a total of 12 double crochets into that ring. So that is the chain 3 plus 11 double crochets to make 12. I'm done with the 12 double crochets, so I'm going to pull the short end of the yarn to fasten and close up that space, then insert my hook in between the chain 3 and the first double crochet. So right there, insert the hook, bring the short end up, then yarn over and slip stitch at that point to complete that first round. So slip stitch, and then after doing the slip stitch, we chain 1. Then we're going to get the pair of scissors and cut off the yarn, then pull through and fasten, and there we have our first round of the square. So now I'm going to get the next shade and I'll work the second round. Start with a slip knot. So make the slip knot, and now get your circle, the first circle that we've made, and we're going to insert the hook in between at the point where we've done the slip stitch. So right there in that space in between the first chain 3 and the first double crochet, that's where we're going to slip stitch to connect the yarn. And as I work, I'm going to work over those 3 ends. So then I'll start by chaining 3, which is my first double crochet, then yarn over, go back into that space, yarn over and pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through 2 and don't complete the double crochet, then yarn over, insert the hook into the same space and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 without completing the double crochet, then yarn over, pull through all the 3 loops on the hook. chain 2, go into the space between the second double crochet and the third double crochet. Into that space, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 without completing the double crochet, then yarn over and work a second incomplete double crochet, then yarn over and work a third incomplete double crochet into the same space. And here we're going to get 4 loops on the hook, then we're going to yarn over and pull through the 4. Chain 2, then into the space in between the next 2 double crochets, we're going to work 3 incomplete double crochets. So that's the first, yarn over into the same space, we do a second incomplete double crochet, then a third incomplete double crochet, we get 4 loops on the hook, then we're going to yarn over and pull through all the 4 loops. Chain 2 again, go in between the next 2 double crochets and do a cluster of 3 incomplete double crochets. So that's the first one, then we're going to have the second incomplete double crochet and the third incomplete double crochet, then yarn over, pull through the 4 loops. Chain 2, into the next space in between the next 2 double crochets, we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to do this until we get to the end. At the end, we should have 12 clusters of 3 incomplete double crochets each. So let me keep going to the end of round 2. I'm in the last space in between the last 2 double crochets, and right there I'm going to do my last cluster of 3 incomplete double crochets, then yarn over, pull through all, chain 2, and now I'm going to confirm the number of clusters that I have to make sure that they are 12, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. To complete the round, I'm going to go in between the chain 3 and the first double crochet right there and slip stitch. Then I'll chain 1 and cut off the yarn. So right there, get the pair of scissors and cut, then pull the yarn through and fasten. And now I'm going to take this end to the next space so that I can begin from there. So it's like I'm just doing a slip stitch with the yarn to get it closer to the chain 2 space right there. So I'll slip stitch it again, and now I'll make sure it's on the wrong side like that before I get the next shade, and so that it becomes easy to work over that end. So that's our second round. We get the third color now. Start with a slip knot as usual. So the slip knot, and now we get the chain 2 space where we have that end that we've just cut from the previous color. So into that chain 2 space, we're going to do a slip stitch. So insert the hook and slip stitch. Then we start by chaining 3, and we're going to work over the ends. I want to make sure that I only have one end remaining. So chain 3, and that's our first double crochet. Then we're going to go into that chain 2 space and place a double crochet, and that will be the second double crochet. Then we place a third double crochet. After the 3 double crochets, we chain 2. Then we're going to go back into the same space with 3 more double crochets. So that's 1, then 2, and 3. And that creates our first corner of the square. So we have a shell stitch or a shell in that first space. Then the next space is going to get just 3 double crochets only. So in the next chain 2 space we place 1, then we have 2 and 3. The next space will also get 3 double crochets only. So we have, that is 1, then we have a second double crochet and a third double crochet. In the space that follows, we're going to have a corner, and into the corner we place 3 double crochets first. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Then we chain 2 and back into the same space with 3 more double crochets. That is 1, then we have 2 and 3. So that's our second corner. We have a corner, then 2 clusters of 3 double crochets each, then another corner. In the chain 2 space that follows, we're going to place just 3 double crochets. So that's 1, then we have 2 and 3. The next space will also get 3 double crochets. So we have 1, 2 and 3. And then the next one will get a corner. So there we're going to have 1, then 2, then we have 3, and then chain 2 back into the same space with 3 more double crochets to create the third corner. After that, we move into the next space with just 3 double crochets. Then the next one will get 3 double crochets. And the next one will be our fourth corner, which will get 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 more double crochets. Then the last 2 spaces will each get 3 double crochets. So that's 2 and 3. And then in the very last one we have 1. Then we have 2 and 3. And now to complete the round, we just slip stitch straight in between the chain 3 and the first double crochet, chain 1 and cut off the yarn. And I'm going to work a total of 3 rounds. So there I have my square complete. Now if you want to make your square bigger, I'll show you how to do that, but this is the farthest I'll go with my squares. So if you have another shade, let's say a false shade, you're going to get the yarn and start with a slip knot. But first you need to take that end to the chain 2 space at the corner by doing a slip stitch into the second double crochet, then a slip stitch into the third double crochet, so that the end goes into the chain 2 space and it's easy to work over it. Get the next shade and start with a slip knot. That is if you want to do the 4th round. I'll not be working in the 4th round like I mentioned before. Then you're going to do a slip stitch into the chain 2 space or into the corner where we had our end. Then we're going to chain 3, which is our first double crochet, and then we go back into that space with 1 more double crochet to make 2. So that's a double crochet, and then we chain 2 and go back into that chain 2 space with 2 more double crochets. So that's 1 and 2. Then in the next double crochet we place 1 double crochet. So make sure not to miss that very first double crochet. It's very easy to miss. Then 1 double crochet into the second stitch, 1 double crochet into the next, 1 double crochet into the next double crochet, and we're going to place 1 double crochet into all the double crochets until we get to the second corner. At the corner, we're going to work 2 double crochets. That's 1 and 2. Then chain 2 and back into the same corner with 2 more double crochets. So that's 1 and that's the second one. So now we have 2 corners and double crochets in between. Yarn over, start with the first double crochet, place a double crochet into it, then work 1 double crochet into each of the previous double crochets until you get to the corner. I'm in the next corner and right there I'll place 2 double crochets. Chain 2 and 2 more double crochets into the same space. So that's 1 and 2. The next we're going to work 1 double crochet into all the double crochets in between this corner and the next corner. When we get to the corner, we're going to work the 2 double crochets, chain 2 and 2 double crochets. Then after that, I'll work 1 double crochet into every stitch until I get to the point where I started this round. So let me do that. I'll meet you at the end. I'm at the end of round 4 and I'm placing my last double crochet. Then to complete, slip stitch in between the chain 3 and the first double crochet, chain 1 and cut off the yarn. Then pull through and fasten. And if you want to do another round, you're going to do it exactly like we've done round 4. So those are 4 rounds, but like I mentioned before, I'm working with 3. Next, you just get the darning needle and weave in the end. If you have something to block your squares, you can block them before you start joining them. Using the darning needle, I'm going to get that end and weave it inside the stitches just to secure it and make sure that it's not visible. So just go in between the stitches, make sure that it's not visible on the other side, and once you're satisfied that it's well hidden, pull the yarn through. Then in case there's an end that is remaining, you can trim it off. So this is the size of the square that I'm going with, and then there's that other one with that end too. And now we start joining. I made this square using the medium weight acrylic yarn and a 4mm crochet hook. It has 3 rows, but as you can see, it's the same size with the 4 rows of the cotton yarn. So determine whatever size you want to go with and then start joining your squares. The 2 small squares are what I'm working with, and those ones I've made using the male cotton yarn. For the size of the skirt that I'm working, I'm going to need a total of 56 squares. And because I'm working with 2 shades, I'll use 28 of the gray and 28 of the purple. So let's get into the joining part. Get 1 square of each of the 2 shades. Then get the yarn that you'll be joining with and start with a slip knot. Get 1 of the squares. It can be either of the 2. Start at any of the corners of the square, slip stitch right there. Then we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and go back into that same space and slip stitch. Chain 4 again, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we're going to count the first 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, in between the 3rd and the 4th double crochet, slip stitch. So like after the first 3 cluster of double crochet, we slip stitch, then chain 3. Then after the second cluster of double crochets, of the 3 double crochets, we do a slip stitch. Then we chain 4 again, 1, 2, 3, and 4. In the space, in that after the cluster, we slip stitch. Then again, we chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. In the chain 2 space, slip stitch, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Back into the chain 2 space with a slip stitch. So that's what we have, chain 4, 2, 3, and 4. After the 3 double crochets, slip stitch, chain 4 again, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then slip stitch after the 3 double crochets. After the 3 double crochets, chain 4. After the next 3 double crochets, slip stitch, chain 4. We get into the corner and slip stitch into that corner. Then we chain 4 and then slip stitch again into the same corner, that is the chain 2 space, chain 4, slip stitch after the 3 double crochets clusters after the corner, chain 4, slip stitch after the 3 double crochets, chain 4, after the 3 other double crochets, slip stitch, chain 4, get into the corner and slip stitch, chain 4, slip stitch again into the corner, chain 4, slip stitch after the 3 double crochet cluster, chain 4, slip stitch after the 3 other double crochets, chain 4, another slip stitch after the 3 double crochets, chain 4, and slip stitch at the point where we began into that chain 2 space, then chain 1. So chain 1 and cut off the yarn, then pull it through and fasten, and there we have 1 square done. Get the second square, then the yarn, and start with a slip knot. Get the square and start at any of the corners, slip stitch right there, and then we chain 2, not 4 but 2, so 1 and 2, pull up the loop, get the corner of the first square, insert the hook into that corner, insert your hook, and then get the loop that you've pulled up and pull it through, then chain 2, and then go back into the second square, the corner of the second square, and do a slip stitch. So that's our first connection. Chain 2, pull up the loop, remove the hook, insert it into the next chain 4 space, and pull the yarn through the chain 4, after chaining 2 that is. So pull the yarn like this, then chain 2 again, skip the 3 double crochets, work into the space on the second square, slip stitch, chain 2, pull up the loop, remove the hook, insert it into the next chain 4 space, and pull the loop through, then chain 2, 1 and 2, into the next space after the 3 double crochets, we slip stitch, chain 2, remove the hook, insert it into the first square in the chain 4, and grab the loop and pull it through, then chain 2 again, then work a slip stitch after the 3 double crochet cluster, then chain 2, remove the hook, insert it into the next chain 4 space on the first square and pull the yarn through, then chain 2, and now we get into the corner, slip stitch into the corner of the second square, chain 2, in the chain 4 at the corner we do a slip stitch from the first square, pull the yarn through and chain 2, then go back into the corner of the second square, and there we have the first joint. So that is how we join 2 squares. Then after that we're going to chain 4, slip stitch after the 3 double crochets, and we're going to work the same exact way we worked the first square, chaining 4 and doing a slip stitch after every 3 double crochets. Then at the corner you chain 4 and slip stitch back into the same corner. So let me work all the way around the second square and I'll meet you at the end. At the end we chain 4, and to complete we slip stitch into the chain 2 space at the corner, chain 1 and cut off the yarn, and there we have the first 2 squares completely joined. This is the wrong side, and what we're going to do is we're going to get those 2 ends and tie them together with a knot. Then I'm going to tie a second knot, make sure it's tight, then get the pair of scissors and cut the yarn, and do not cut too close to the knot, so just cut it. Make sure the end that remains is not too long but also not too short. Go to the other square and do the same exact thing. You're going to tie 2 knots and then just cut off the yarn. So get the pair of scissors and cut just like that. Make sure that you're tying on the wrong side of your squares, then turn them to the right side. like that. So now we're going to join the next ones. So I'll get a gray one and connect it next to the purple. Then I'll have a purple on the side. So this is the connection that I'm going to make, like that. So from here I'm going to get my yarn, start with a slip knot, then get the third square, which is a gray, and slip stitch into the corner. So do the slip stitch, then chain 2, 1 and 2, and then we're going to get the point of connection of the two squares that we've already connected right here. Insert the hook and pull up the loop through, then chain 2, 1 and 2, back into the chain 2 space of the third square and slip stitch. So then we chain 2, remove the hook, insert it into the chain 4 space and pull the yarn through, then chain 2, skip the 3 double crochets and slip stitch into the space after chain 2, pull out the loop, the hook, insert it into the next chain 4 space, then get the loop and pull it through, then chain 2, continue to slip stitch after the 3 double crochets, chain 2, pull up the loop into the chain 4, slip stitch, chain 2, slip stitch after the 3 double crochets, chain 2, pull out the hook, insert it into the chain 4, then pull the yarn through and chain 2, get into the corner and slip stitch into that corner, then chain 2 at the corner, remove the hook and insert it into the chain 4 at the corner, pull the yarn through and chain 2, slip stitch at the corner again, then we chain 4, slip stitch after the 3 double crochets, and you know the drill. So continue all the way around that third square. So just go on chaining 4 and working all the way around. I'm coming to the end, so I'll chain 4 and slip stitch at the chain 2 in the beginning, then chain 1 and cut off the yarn at that point, pull the yarn through and fasten. Then now we're going to turn to the other side and tie the ends just like we did previously. So tie these 2 ends together, make a knot, and this is the first knot. Then we're going to make a second knot, make it tight. You can make a third if that works for you. Then after you've made it tight, cut the yarn not too close to the knot, and also don't leave a long end like that. Then now we turn to the right side and get the next square, which is going to be the purple shade, and we attach it right there. So let me go on, attach, or let me show you how to do that. Start with a slip knot and then get the corner of the purple, one of the corners, slip stitch, chain 2, and this right here is where we're going to begin, right there. and now you know how to go all the way around. So let me go all the way around and I'll meet you at the end. At the corner we chain 2, then we're going to join that to the corner where we have the 2 squares joined. So right there, that's where I insert my hook and I do a slip stitch right there. So that is, I pull my yarn through, pull it through and then chain 2, then go back into that corner and do a slip stitch. And next we're going to chain 4 and then work all the way around. Now working round should be easy, same as the very first square. So right there we chain 4 and keep going. I'm chaining the last 4 chains, then slip stitch at the corner and chain 1, then cut the yarn, pull the yarn through and fasten, turn to the other side and do the knots. Then I'm going to get 2 more squares. I'll start with the gray, then the purple. So the gray goes below the purple right there, and the next purple will go beside the gray like that. I'll keep joining 2 squares like this until I can stretch out my length and get to my hip measurements. So I did a total of 7 joins, 7 squares. That is 7 of gray and 7 of purple to get to my hip measurement, which is a hip measurement of 45. And what that size that I worked can fit between 40 to 45 inches in the hips. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 7 of gray, 7 of purple. Now if I fold this like this and stretch it out, it will get me to the 45 inches. So I'll get a stitch marker and pin the 2 ends of the 2 squares that are at the end, the 2 corners of the 2 ends of the squares, and then I'll get a measuring tape and take that measurement. So the measurement that I'm getting here is the hip measurement. Without stretching, it's getting me to 19 inches. And when I do a slight stretch, don't stretch out too much. So when I stretch this out, let's do that again. Do the stretch, it's getting me to around 23. 23 times 2, that's 46. I was going for 45, but I've gotten to 46, and 1 extra inch is quite okay. Means the skirt will not be too tight. There'll be that allowance. So now I'll show you how to join the 2 ends. Fold your work like this, then get the other end and bring it like that. So you want to make sure that the gray aligns with the purple, and when you're completing the last square, you're not going to go all the way to the end. So make sure that when you get to your last square, you do not complete the round. So this is how I'm going to join to connect, and right there at the corner I'm going to chain 4, then I'm going to do the connection at this corner. So chain 4 and slip stitch into that corner, chain 4, slip stitch after the 3 double crochets, chain 4 again, and slip stitch after the next 3 double crochets, chain 4, slip stitch after the 3 double crochets, chain 4, slip stitch at the corner. When we get to the corner, we're going to chain 2. So let me turn my work like this, then I'll chain 2 and connect into that corner. So chain 2, remove the hook, get the corner, and do the connection like we've been doing previously. So connect right there, then chain 2, 1 and 2, back into the corner with a slip stitch, chain 2, remove the hook, get the chain 4 space on the other corner, on the other square, slip stitch, chain 2, after the 3 double crochets, slip stitch, chain 2, remove the hook, go into the chain 4 and slip stitch, then chain 2, slip stitch after the 3 double crochets, chain 2, remove the hook, into the chain 4, the next chain 4, pull the yarn through and slip stitch, then chain 2, and continue to the end, continue to the next corner now. At the end, I'll just chain 1 and cut off the yarn, then pull the yarn through and fasten. And there we have a complete round. So it's like we have 2 rounds. We've done 2 rounds at the same time. One round with the gray and another one with the purple shade. So now right here, I'll do the knots and I'll do all the other knots, then cut off the yarn. After weaving in all the ends, this is what I have, and I'm ready to do the third row, which is going to be with the purple. So just get your purple squares and we're going to attach them like this, one at a time. So now, then on top we'll have the gray squares. We're going to have them on this side and on the other side because our work is folded into 2. Let me show you how to connect in the next row. Get the square that you're connecting and start with a slip knot. Then that's right there is where we're going to connect. So start with a slip stitch in one of the corners of the square. You're going to chain 2, then get a corner of the purple shade and slip stitch right there, then chain 2, back into the corner of the gray, slip stitch, chain 2, remove the hook, go into the chain 4 of the purple, then slip stitch and chain 2. So 1 and 2. After the 3 double crochets, slip stitch, chain 2, 1 and 2. Pull up the loop and remove the hook, insert it into the chain 4, slip stitch and chain 2. After the 3 double crochets, slip stitch, chain 2, pull up the loop, slip stitch, and continue till you get to the corner. I'll show you what to do at the corner. I'm at the corner now, so right there I'll slip stitch, then I'll chain 2, pull up the loop and remove the hook. Then right here I'm going to get a point at the points of connection of the chain 2s at the corner right there. Just insert your hook somewhere in the middle and pull up a loop. If you know how to connect this point better than I do, then you can do that. Then I'm going to chain 2 and back into the corner with a slip stitch, chain 2, and now we're going to move to the next square, which is the purple square on the other side. So on the chain 4 on the other square, we slip stitch and chain 2. So we chain 1 and 2. After the three double crochets, we slip stitch, chain 2, continue to the end. I'm at the corner, so after the slip stitch, I chain 2, then connect in the corner of the other square with a slip stitch, then chain 2, back into that corner of the gray. And now the other part, we're just going to do the chain 4s, the slip stitch till we get to the end. At the end, we slip stitch, chain 1 and cut off the yarn, then pull it through and fasten. And there we have the first square on the third round joined. So I'm going to get a second square and attach it in between the purple squares. So this is what we have at the corner. So get the second one and attach it right there, the same exact way we've done with the first one. For me, it's going to be a total of 7 squares with the gray. So right there, those are 3. Then we have the 4th one at the corner and 3 others on the other side. Here I have that row of the gray squares complete. So now I'm going to do the same exact thing with the purple. So now just get the purple. After the purple, do the gray. After the gray, do purple again. And I did a total of 8. Like we'll have 4 rows with the gray, 4 rows with the purple. After joining the 4 rows each, this is what I have, and I've gotten to the length of the skirt that I wanted. So as you can see, we have 4 with the gray and 4 with the purple. So our skirt is starting to take shape, but now we need to close up those spaces over there, and we're going to do that with triangles. But first things first, we take the measurement of the length of the skirt, which is at 19. We are going to have an extra 1.5 inches after doing the ribbing, but then let's work the triangles that we're going to work to use them to close up the spaces and make the skirt flat on top and also at the bottom. So now I'll show you how to work the triangles. We're going to work triangles, 7 triangles in purple and 7 triangles in gray, because at the bottom I need the purple, at the bottom I need the gray, and at the top I need the purple. Get the first shade and start with a magic ring. Then we're going to chain 3, which is our first double crochet. So 1, 2, and 3. Then place a double crochet into that magic ring. and we're going to place a total of 8 double crochets, so that together with the chain 3 we're going to have 9 double crochets. After the 9 double crochets, get the short end of the ring and pull it to fasten and close up that space. Then insert the hook into the space between the chain 3 and the first double crochet, slip stitch, then chain 1. Don't worry if this looks curved, there's no problem. Cut off the yarn, pull through and fasten. And we are done with the first round, so we get the next shade. Start with a slip knot, and then we're going to get that space where we've done the slip stitch, the space between the chain 3 and the first double crochet, slip stitch into that space, and then chain 3. And we're going to work the same way we worked the second round when we were working the square. So chain 3, yarn over, insert the hook into the same space, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over again and do another incomplete double crochet, yarn over, pull through the 3 loops, chain 2, yarn over, work in between the second double crochet and the third double crochet, do a cluster of 3 incomplete double crochets. So that's the second one and the third. Yarn over and pull through all the loops, chain 2, in between the next 2 double crochets we do another cluster of 3 incomplete double crochets. So that's 1, 2 and 3. Then yarn over, pull through all the 4 loops, chain 2 and keep going in between the double crochets until you have a total of 9 clusters of 3 double crochets that are incomplete. At the end we chain 2 and slip stitch in between the chain 3 and the first double crochet, then chain 1 and cut off the yarn, pull the yarn through and fasten. Then we're going to take the yarn into the space, make sure that you have 9 clusters, then get your yarn and slip stitch so that it goes close to the chain 2 space before getting the third shade. Start with a slip knot and get the chain 2 space where we have the end from the previous round and slip stitch right there. Then we're going to chain 3, which is our first double crochet, and work 2 more double crochets to get 3. After the 3 double crochets we chain 2, then go back into the same space with 3 more double crochets. Then we skip over to the next chain 2 space and place 3 double crochets. So this chain 2 space and the next one, so 2 of them will have 3 double crochets each. So this is the first one and that's the second double crochet, and I have the third double crochet. So then I'll skip over to the next one and place 3 double crochets into it before I get to the second corner. So that's 3 double crochets and that gets me to the second corner, and into that second corner we're going to work a cluster, a shell of 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 more double crochets, and I'll keep going all the way around. So after every corner we have 3 double crochets and another 3 double crochets, then the corner, and I should have a total of 3 corners because it's a triangle. This is my third corner, so into it I'll do 3 double crochets, chain 2, back into the same space with 3 more double crochets, then I'll have a space with 3 double crochets and a second space with 3 double crochets. So that's 2 and 3, and complete the round by doing a slip stitch in between the chain 3 and the double crochet, chain 1 and cut off the yarn, pull the yarn through and fasten, and there we have our triangle. So now we're going to join them. You're going to work 7 of these. Actually, I'm going to work 7 because I have 7 spaces. If you have 8, you're going to work 8. If you have 5, you're going to work 5. 5 of gray, 5 of purple. You might find that you need on top and bottom you need purple, or you need purple on the bottom, gray at the top. Just look at your project and see what you need. I went on to join the gray squares right there, so I'll show you how to join the purple. So I'll get my yarn and start with a slip knot, then connect the yarn at the corner of one of the triangles. So connect right there and chain 2, chain 2. Then I'm going to get the corner of one of the gray squares and slip stitch into it, then chain 2, so chain 2 and go back into that corner with a slip stitch, chain 2, pull out the loop and insert the hook into the chain 4 and slip stitch, chain 2, slip stitch after the 3 double crochets. So we're just doing in the same way we did with the squares. There is only a slight difference. I'll show you. Chain 2 into the chain 4, slip stitch, chain 2, slip stitch after the 3 double crochets, chain 2, after the chain 4, slip stitch. I'll have to do the chain again because I've lost one of the chains. Then slip stitch, chain 2, slip stitch after the 3 double crochets, chain 2, slip stitch at the chain 4 on the square, chain 2, slip stitch at the corner, chain 2, and now we go into the corner and make sure that we slip stitch right there to complete the 4th corner at that point. Then chain 2, back into the corner with a slip stitch, chain 2, we go onto the other square, and in the chain 4 we slip stitch and then chain 2. So slip stitch, chain 2, go into that point, chain 2, slip stitch at the chain 4 on the square. So do the slip stitch, chain 2, get into the stitch after the 3 double crochets and continue to the corner. So I'll just get to the corner and then that's where the difference will come in. So chain 2, slip stitch after the 3 double crochets, chain 2, slip stitch in the chain 4. So right there, slip stitch, chain 2, and then I get to the corner, slip stitch, chain 2, then slip stitch at the corner right there, then chain 2. When we chain 2, we're not going to go back into this triangle. We're going to get the second triangle, and this is where it goes. So we get one of the corners, insert the hook into one of the corners of that second triangle, then working like this, get that loop and pull it through, then chain 2. After chaining 2, we're going to go into the chain 4 on the next square and slip stitch, then chain 2 and keep going. I'm at the corner, so right there I'll do the slip stitch, then chain 2, and go back into the corner with a slip stitch. Then I'll continue working until I get to the next corner, and at that corner we're going to join the next triangle. So let me get there and then we continue. I'm joining at the corner now, sorry. So slip stitch, chain 2, don't go back into this triangle but get the third triangle and connect it just like we've done with the second one. So starting from one of the corners of the triangle, insert the hook, grab the loop and slip stitch. So keep going until you've joined all your triangles. I'll come back when I'm at the end, when I'm connecting the last triangle. I'm coming to the end of the last joint of the last triangle, and I'm just going to do the chain 2, then I'll slip stitch at the corner where I began with the first triangle, then I'll chain 2, and now at this point I'll go back into that last triangle that I've done and do a single crochet into that corner, not a slip stitch, sorry. I'm supposed to do a single crochet and not a slip stitch. So after chaining 2, I'm going to go back into that corner with a single crochet. Then I'm going to work a single crochet in between the next 2 double crochets and a single crochet in between the other 2 double crochets. So in all the double crochets, the spaces between the double crochets, I'm going to work 1 single crochet until I get to the corner. So let me go on, get to the corner, and then I'll show you what to do at the corner. I'm at the corner now, so I'll chain 2, slip stitch in the corner of the joint, chain 2, get to the corner of the next triangle and do a single crochet. Single crochet. So this is what we have now. Then we're going to work in between the double crochets, place one single crochet till we get to the next corner. When we get to the corner, do a single crochet, chain 2 at the joint, in the space at the joint right there, we slip stitch, then chain 2 and start on the other triangle with a single crochet, not a slip stitch. So chain 2 and single crochet, then continue like this all the way around. I'll meet you at the end. So I'm working the single crochet to the end. I'm at the corner, and right there I'll do a slip stitch at the point where I began. Then I'll chain 1 and cut off the yarn at that point. That is if you're working the bottom part. If you're working the top part of your skirt, you're not going to cut off the yarn. So that's my upper part. For the bottom part, I've already done. As you can see, this is how it looks like. So I'll move back to the upper part and chain 3, which is my first double crochet, and we're going to do a ribbon. Then into the chain 2 space, we're going to do 1 double crochet. Into the next chain 2 space, we're going to do 1 double crochet. On the single crochet, we do a double crochet. So all the single crochets will each get 1 double crochet. All the chain 2s will also get just 1 double crochet, and we're going to work 1 double crochet all the way round. I'm coming to the end of that first round, and I'll do a slip stitch on top of the chain 3 at the beginning to complete the first round of the ribbon of the waistband. Then we're going to do round 2, and we're going to start by chaining 3, yarn over, and go into the next double crochet and do a front post double crochet. Then in the next double crochet, we'll do a back post double crochet. So you go around the double crochet at the back like that. In the next one, we do a front post double crochet. Then the next one will be a back post double crochet. The next will be a front post double crochet, and this is what we're going to repeat all the way around the second round. So let me keep going until I've worked this in all the double crochets in round 2 of the ribbon. I'm coming to the end of that round and I'm doing a front post right here. Then a back post is my last stitch. And then I'll slip stitch on top of the chain 3 at the beginning, right there. Then I'll chain 3, 2, 3. Then in the front post, we do a front post. Then where there was a back post double crochet, we do a back post. So the next stitch is a back post double crochet. The next one is a front post double crochet. And the next one is a back post double crochet. And this is my round 3. I'm going to do round 3, round 4, and round 5. So round 4 and 5 are going to be the same as round 3. So do your rounds and let's meet at the end. I'm coming to the end of round 5, which is my last round of the ribbon, and I'm just finishing on the remaining double crochets. We have a front post double crochet right there, a back post double crochet, a front post double crochet, and a back post double crochet. To complete the round, we slip stitch on top of the chain 3 that we began with. Then we're going to chain 1 and cut off the yarn and pull the yarn through and fasten. Then we are done. Our skirt is done. So now I'll just weave in that end on top and all the other ends that might be remaining. Then we can do what do we call it? We're going to do a drawstring that we're going to attach to the waistband. So let me do the end, weave it in, then I'll show you how to do the drawstring. To work the drawstring, I'm going to get 2 strands of the yarn that I've used to work the ribbon with. Start with a slip knot, and then I'm going to chain between 200 and 250, whatever works for you. So just chain a number of chains that is enough for your drawstring. I'll do 200, and then after that I'll attach it to the waistband. So thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the tutorial. If you've enjoyed the tutorial, kindly leave a like, a comment, share, subscribe if you're not subscribed. If you would like to support the channel, you can do that by leaving a special gift by clicking on the thanks button. You can also do that by joining the community, that is becoming a member of the Ladenser Crochets community by clicking on the join button in the bio. See you in the next one. Bye.